De'Aaron Fox is right. Coaches shouldn't be fired constantly. It was very interesting seeing this interview in which perspectives were given by Fox that I totally agree with. You know, at the end of the day, one of the things that is always very unfortunate in sports, and the NBA is up there in that regard, is all this firing of coaches way too early. And Fox was actually explaining he was with the Kings for nearly 8 years. Recently traded to the Spurs, where he actually gets the team up with CP3 and Victor Wembanyama. Unfortunately, that actually took a turn for the worse when Wembanyama was shut down for the season. However, the expectation is that he should be ready to go for the upcoming season. That pairing of him and Fox, and if CP3 is also around, I think that'll be an interesting San Antonio team that has been building. Very interestingly, they did suffer the hit with Popovich also out for the season, and his career is pretty much in the balance. I hope that they end up actually finding the North, and also that the better decision for Popovich's health is the one that is end up taking. That obviously should be the most important thing. So, in the process of all this situation, the Aaron Fox was conversing and saying, "Hey, so in the time that I was in Sacramento, I went through 5 coaches." And you go like, "Wait, didn't you just say that he was there about almost 8 years?" Yeah, he was a draft of 2017. And he went through 5 coaches. So when asked in negotiations recently if he wanted to sign an extension, that also coincided with the fact of Mike Brown being showed the door. 5th coach out, boom, done. Can you blame the guy for being upset and not wanting to sign there and giving an answer that, no, I don't want to play for another coach. I want to play for another team, which is what he actually said that he told them. He's right. He's pretty right. It's one of the things that is really surprising with the NBA. How is a coach going to be able to establish a culture when a situation immediately gets muddy, you get fired? Now, look, I know in any line of business, it's going to be performance driven. That I can perfectly understand. But the problem is that for a team building of any kind, in sports not being an exception, you need time to build that. You need time to build the rapport, the relationship. Everything needs a proper watering for it to actually reach its peak potential. And sometimes, yes, there are situations where you go like, well, yeah, it ran its course. Buddy, you're out. Done. Goodbye. Other times you go like, whoa, this guy was just doing the setup for all this. Why are you going to fire him? Then you got other situations like, look at the Lakers. Frank Vogel took them to the championship, and then he got fired subsequently, a season later and a half, or just one season after that? Bye. Same thing can be actually plays in so many different scenarios of examples. That's not good. By no means. So it makes you wonder, what is the motivation for all of this? Well, desperation. There's a lot of money that is actually going there, and you want fast results. If something isn't clicking, it's easier to fire the coach, who is one uno, than to fire the whole team or the GM or everything. And unfortunately, on the totem pole, it generally tends to be the coach that gets axed. Yes, there is some times where you'll also get the axe of the GM because, he was the one that actually bought that coach over. Obviously, the firing of a coach also implicits the fact that all of his other coaches that he brought along, which tend to be the case, they're gone too. They're showing the door. So no one is equal. I think that I'm not being Einstein with saying this, right? Every coach comes with a different culture. Take De'Aaron Fox, who is our talking point. If in almost 8 years you go through 5 coaches, how do you think that you have had any time to establish anything with how volatile of a scenario that has been? How do you get anything going? It's like just when you are in the middle of building a relationship, boom, that coach gets axed. They get no time. It takes time. Anything that is good in life takes time to develop. There are, even in basketball players, how many players have we seen that, Gary, whatever, just taking any random name, took time, but, he was drafted, I don't know, like 2020. Oh, guess what? Now he's a star out of nowhere because it took him time to build, develop. Same thing as with a coach arriving somewhere and developing his culture. It takes time, takes patience. Where has the patience gone for this process? I mean, think about it. The Denver Nuggets, they finally won. Did they win today and tomorrow? No, it took them time. They went through Jokic, and they took years to finally win. It takes time. Look at the Celtics. And they're not exempt of it, obviously. They've done some firing themselves. But man, it can't be just the fact if you don't bring the chip immediately, you're fired. And even if you do bring the chip, if you don't win again, the next season, you're fired. How are you going to do anything like that? It's difficult. And yes, are they getting paid a bunch of money? Yes, they are. But the commodity, and you, in whatever line of business you work, you know that creating that rapport with those companions, it's different to actually get it going with the coworkers and understanding and being much more efficient at your work. This is something that has been lost in the fold for the NBA. And I hope they actually find their north quick enough because it's very ridiculous. And I totally agree with De'Aaron Fox. If you want to build something true, you got to stick to the process. You've got to trust the process. Now, granted, I'm not advocating that if you're a coach and you're given 5 seasons and all of them are consistently negative with no progression, at that point, buddy, I'm sorry, but here's the door. Goodbye. Thank you for knowing you, but please disappear or something. But if a coach is showing you strides of progress, even if it's not the chip yet, but is at least showing progression, trust the process. And no, I'm not going to Philadelphia. Trust the process. That's its own mess for different reasons. But you have to be diligent in allowing these coaches to be able to establish themselves. Not everyone is going to arrive with a magic touch. In fact, look at the great coaches and look where they came from. Did they win immediately? No, they didn't. They built themselves into something through having a process to live out of. Nowadays, it seems like we've lost that in the process. That's a dangerous thing to lose. Because at the same time, when you see the culture of some teams, you got to link it back to how impatience has been the name of the game and the probability of why they have gone nowhere with their process. That's tough. That is very tough. But hey, remember, be happy. I'll read you in the comments. Boom.